Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to a special video about how to get rid of those pesky price tag stickers that are on the used CDs when you buy them. But I'm going to talk a little bit broader about that as well and cover all kinds of price tag sticky things removals. I mean, we've got these ones that are stuck on the cases on the outside of the plastic jewel case. If you get some really old ones, these security strips that were here, this one's already been cut, but it's still stuck to it. Of course, we get regular price tags like that. And even ones that are stuck on booklets, and it drives me absolutely crazy having to clean all this stuff up when I get home. But of course, that is just part of the process of buying and collecting music. So I'm going to break some of that down, the best ways to do it here in just a bit. If you're new to my channel though, and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel. Of course, if you turn on notifications, you're going to stay up to date on really cool videos just like this one about how to remove these pesky price tags, stickers, and other things on our favorite music. So right away, I'm just going to start with this one, and I've got a few tips here on things. But in terms of removing ones like these or any ones that are just on the case, if you've ever noticed when peeling these price tags are segmented, and if you pull too fast, you break them off, they tear, they leave paper behind. Well, that's meant so that you can't peel off a price tag and change it in a store, and I totally get that, but I absolutely hate it. I have found if you just peel very slowly with it, giving time for the segments to pull up, lift up naturally. And I know I'm kind of doing this while talking, and it's going to be hard to tell, but you've got to pull slowly. That is the key. It's the key to one, not tearing the price tag, but also not leaving the residue behind. The faster you pull, you're going to leave the residue. So it's all about the slow motion of this. And if you can tell, I'm doing it very slowly and it comes off all in one piece. So that's at least a key. Now, usually I just take my thumb and get the excess residue off like that and it's gone. But if you want to go a step further with it, I use just regular isopropyl alcohol. This one's a 91% solution. I also use just regular 70, so there isn't any real key thing, and a lot of you guys have different things. You know, there's paint thinner, there's Goo-Gone, there's all different kinds of stuff like that. I think there's another one called Goof Off or something. They're all great. I like alcohol because it dries. It does not leave any oil or detergent or whatever those other cleaning products are behind. So I even use the alcohol right on the CD. If the CD has fingerprints on it, this is what I'm going to use. Now I'm going to attempt to remove this guy. If you guys remember, these are the old security strips that some companies used versus like this one here that is stuck across the top of the disc. So now I'm fully expecting that even if I pull this thing slowly, I'm going to leave some residue behind on it because that's just the nature. Yep. So when I pull this off, you'll see that this is clear. You can get that in there and see, and it's got all of the stuff here. Now the same thing, I for a long time have just used my fingernail or thumb to kind of scrape at this, and if you see I'm already starting to scrape, it's just coming off, and that's what you want to do. You want to just get this stuff all gathered up into sort of one thing, and I'm just doing a lot of it here. I know it's not easy to see, but I'm just using my fingernail to gather it all up into sort of a little pile of stuff like that, and then you can just take your, you know, with the rest of your finger and you get the rest of it off like that. Now some of you guys are going to say, well, you know, why do that? Why not just use the alcohol or whatever? And you certainly can use those cleaners. Again, I just find that the less product you put on these things, the better off. And part of the reason is this. Let's say there was a price tag on this side of it. Because of the insert that's here, remember these things come out. I'll pop that out there. So in that, if you run alcohol along the face of this, you can actually get it in there on the booklet or the inlay card itself. And same thing around in this area here. And if you get alcohol in, then you've gotten your booklet wet. And I think that's how a lot of these things that you buy, and then they have some water damage, and you're wondering how the heck somebody could have gotten their CD wet. And I think a lot of it is by accident. They're cleaning it. They think they're doing a good job. And I had this happen where over years I get oils and dirt buildup on these from pulling them out and touching them. And every so often I have to clean them. And I used to just run across this and do this, and then I eventually one time saw that the alcohol and stuff was running inside and it was actually causing damage. And once I learned that, I realized I needed to do a different technique. So that's part of why I will do that. But as I said, alcohol will do it, and I will just use regular paper towels, but make sure that there's something really soft. This is a brand called Viva. It's very soft and it doesn't leave lint behind. But if you are worried about that, I just use an old t-shirt, something that's 100% cotton. You can tear it down if you want, but this will be very good, as well as a very, very soft paper towel. Even toilet paper is okay, but what you want to make sure is it's not leaving any lint behind. So maybe before you go too far into applying and removing like that, you just do a little check on the area and see. But as I was saying, with the alcohol, if I want to now clean this thing here, it's really simple. In this case, I got one of these ones that has the little lid on it, and you don't need much to do it. I'm just making sure I get a little bit out of there. And so I've got it on here, and then just very carefully run across there like so. And again, you're going to get your dirt off of there, and I use the back side to dry it. But it doesn't leave any residue, and it gets all of the dirt and stuff like that off it in the end of the day. Now, I pointed out this one here. This is another security strip type, and I haven't opened it yet. This sticker's on the outside, so that's going to come off with the plastic wrap. But I like to use my X-Acto, and I just run it under here very simply, and you can see, just cut it like that, and then I can easily peel back. I can, there we go. The plastic like this, and that just comes off very easily. There's no picking at the corners. And by doing it here, the reason I can do that is because that's where the disc opens. So when I put the blade in, I'm not actually cutting the plastic, meaning the jewel case. I'm not hurting anything because I'm in that groove. If you do it somewhere else on it, like across the top, you're going to scratch it. So I don't recommend taking these and going across the top, and I've seen a lot of people do that, and it tears that. That too is a problematic thing. So a trick for this, and I did make another video that actually just showed how to remove those, but I'm trying to do a comprehensive one here. So I want to show you guys that if you pop the bottom of this, if you just lift that up, and you can see now that how this thing has happened. We'll see how cleanly this one does it, but I can just peel it off like that. And then I have the other side. And usually this is the side that I can get. And again, if you go a little slower with it, you can do it where it's not leaving any residue behind. This one's got a little bit I can see still there, and it tore a little piece of it off. First thing we want to do is put this back on. So we want the complete package and the strength of the jewel case to do this. Now, on this side of it, I got the residue, and it generally happens when removing these. We know that, and it's nasty stuff. Now, alcohol will eventually take it off, but I've actually found if you just take this between two fingers, see how I've spread it out like this, put a thumb on the back side so that you've got a nice sticky-faced piece like this, and then you just go over the area. Keep making that noise. You're sticking and unsticking in the area where the gummy stuff is, the residue is, and it slowly lifts it off. And it's a little bit of a process, but it doesn't require having any of the products or things around you. So you can certainly do that. And that's one of the things here that gets this off very easily. And then you have the jewel case nice and clean, and you put it on your shelf. But between those three kind of things on here, price tags and security strips and all that stuff, that's one thing. But then you get ones like this where you go to your local record store and they've stuck a sticker on the inside. And I'm always very hesitant to remove these because you could leave residue behind and have a nasty gummy thing on here. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with this one, and I've decided to go ahead and try to do it here, and we're going to see what we get out of it. I did it on one other one, and again, it seemed to work. So I'm going to remove this price tag, and I'm going to use the same technique I did when I was doing it on the outside of this one here. Again, you just want to go very slowly with it. So if we go to the corner and you start peeling up the corner on it, remember these things are segmented. So part of it is not going too fast, and I'm already seeing that this one is starting to tear. So I'm going to have to use my fingernail to continue to pull up the paper as I go further and further with this. And I'm sort of hoping if I do that enough at the corner, let me do a little bit more, and I'm going to show you that if I've just scraped up just enough on that corner, again, hopefully it's kind of visible, there we go, in here, then I can get a hold of this thing and start peeling where it doesn't leave the paper behind. That's the real critical thing on this. We don't want leftover paper. If there's some residue, I could potentially deal with that. Now this thing is just breaking apart in my finger here. So one is probably a very old receipt or price tag that's on this thing. And actually I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get a little bit more of this, but I'm gonna show you what's happening. So can you see that the residue is there? Now, if I continue to do this, and I'll probably fade in and fade out on this so that you're not having to watch this whole thing. We'll see where this goes. I think I'm going to be able to get this off. The problem is going to be whether or not there's residue. And I'm already seeing it, so I'm actually going to pull the booklet out a little bit here. There you go. You can see it a lot better. So you see the leftover residue and you see the price tag. One thing is I'm going to place it down. If you put it down on a hard surface, you don't want to try to peel it like I'm doing in the air. Put this down on a table, on a flat surface where it's very hard and you can get a better grip on this thing. So I'm getting some good traction on this now. All right, so I've gotten most of this off. You can, again, still see that there's residue on it, and I'm just peeling off the last of this bit, and there you go, it's gone, but there's still a residue on here. Now, I'm a little hesitant to use alcohol at this point on here because I don't want it to absorb into the booklet. I don't want it to discolor it. I'm a little afraid. So I'm going to do what I've done before, which again is I just use my thumb, but you've got to really hold the paper down and you just sort of rub it in the direction furthest away, meaning towards the corner where we are going to be able to get this thing off here theoretically. So I'm just doing a bit of rubbing like that, getting it off. And most of it is going away. Now, at a certain point where I've gotten it, I will take the paper towel, and I'm going to take the dry part of this. I don't want the part with the alcohol. And that just helps get it off. It sticks to the paper towel a little bit better than your finger. And of course, it doesn't wear the skin out. You might get a little blister or something from this afterwards. So I still am left with a little bit of a mark on it. It will dissipate a bit, but unfortunately that's what can happen. So you have to make the decision about whether or not you want to get the price tag off, and then if having something like that on the back side will bother you or not. Now, just to see what happens here, as I said, I'm kind of willing to do this. I'm going to take part of the paper towel. It had a little bit of alcohol, and I'm just going to very quickly do this and see what happens. And it seems like it's not taking, well, it does take off the color a little bit. I don't know if you can see that in there. So I don't want to continue to do that. But in doing that, it did remove the residue in there and it made it a lot better. And again, I think over time where the oils that are in the finger that created that and the residue will go away a lot better. So I am glad that I got the receipt or the price tag off on here. But just always be aware that when you start peeling anything on a booklet, the inlay card, the paper product, and especially when you get digipacks and cardboard cases. I don't have one of those present, but it's the same principle that I did here, where Sometimes you got to make the decision, do I keep the price tag on so I don't tear anything, discolor it? Do I get a gummy residue that now sticks to everything, or do I want to take that leap and go down that road? And 98% of the time, if you go down the road, you're going to be okay, but there's always that one chance that it's actually going to make it worse. And so I sometimes weigh it. I say, you know what? It's on the inside. I'm not too worried about it. That's why it was still in here, because it wasn't on the outside of the booklet. I could live with it, but I wanted to be able to show you guys how that is. And so really kind of there you go. That's the process that I go through in terms of cleaning. And as I showed you, on the outside, if you go down this side here, make sure you don't use very much because we don't want it to absorb in any open part of this. If you're going to clean the case, it may even be best to take out the booklet, lift up the, bottom of the tray. Pop the tray out. Remember, these things come out. You just have to pull one corner at a time to get it out. It's not going to just pop out as one piece, but if you do, and I always start with this end of it here. In fact, I'll pop it back in for you guys. Stick my fingernail under this part of it here, the tray. And I stick another finger in the corner of it here. And then I just lift up on it. Now if I can get that in while trying to show you guys this, then you can see how it just pops there. And then I pull towards that direction to get the other side to come out, and it lifts. And I do the opposite down here. Pop a fingernail in and pull, and the whole thing comes out. That's how I remove those. You can then get these out very easily. And of course, the front part of this comes out with no problem. And I've got a blank case that I could clean very easily or change without having to worry about hurting the rest of this. So hopefully these little techniques help you guys figure out the best way to clean, replace, remove stickers, all that stuff that we hate doing when we get home, but of course makes for such a beautiful product when it's done. And so somebody else may have made it dirty and not given it the loving care that we're going to give it, but if we clean the thing up just right when we get home, we're going to love it a lot more, and of course it'll last a lot longer for us. So all right, I'm sure you guys have your own techniques and best ways for doing things. If they're different than what I showed here, leave them in the comments. Help other people, give them alternate ways of doing it, and then that way everyone can pick and choose the best way that's for them. All right, everyone, take care, have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.